Hi everyone, my name's Shine and I'm a producer with the Birmingham and Sandwell Mela. Unfortunately, we can't bring Mela to you live this year due to the COVID-19 restrictions. So we've put together a digital programme for you to enjoy Mela at home. Alongside music, dance and arts activities, this year's programme also includes Mela Makers, a series of online interviews with freelancers and professionals who work in Mela and festival curation and production. So if you want to be a future Mela Maker, the interviews will give you helpful advice and tips on how to do what we do. The interviews cover operations and crowd control, and we also talk about managing main stage artists and working internationally with India. We look at marketing and publicity and how to get that right, and we touch on developing audiences and partnerships. Hi everyone, welcome to Mela at Home, the series of Mela Makers interviews. This is a series of interviews that will support and help future Mela Makers by giving them an insight into what's involved in curating and producing Melas and festivals. My name's Shine and today I'm here with Varun and Harpreet, who manage our main stage and main stage acts at the Birmingham Mela. Can you start by telling us a little bit about what you do and your role at the Birmingham Mela?
Hi, I'm Harpreet and I'm from India. Basically, in my role in the Mela is I look after all the artists, book artists, and I make sure that everything is going good with the artists. I do the visas from booking to till they come back to India. I look after them.
Okay, so you manage the India side, the artists in India. And Varun, do you do that? Do you take care of the artists here in the UK?
Yeah, so I'm Varun and I manage the main stage on the weekend, and alongside that I help Danny in the organisation beforehand, so all the production side and organising the whole event. And I work with Harpreet when we're working together basically from the start, deciding what artists we want to book in about 6 months in advance.
Right.
And then Harpreet books the main international artists, the big stars that we get booked first, and I work with him to book artists from both from India as well, but mainly from the UK. And then once Harpreet comes over, then we organise the main stage lineup together and work out how to make it a great event.
And it is great. It's always really, really good. So for the benefit of young people who are thinking about a potential career in festival and Mela curation and production, what would you say are the key skills that they would need to have or develop to do that well? Harpreet, shall we go to you first and then we'll go to...
Yeah. In my mind, if anybody wants to be in this line, or if he wants to be an event organizer, the main thing, he should be composed, he should be calm, he should have the knowledge about all the artists, how to deal with them, and basically it's all experience. You don't get it, you can't read book and you can do an event. It's not like that. It's you have to have that skills, management skills. You have to have lots of things are involved, like visas, taking care of food, taking care of the room, hotels and travel. Lots of things are involved.
So you need quite a broad set. Yes. Varun,
Yeah.
Can you add to that at all? What do you think are the most important skills?
I think from a production side of view, from like when you're organising like the layout of the park and how it's going to look, we've just got to troubleshoot in advance.
Right.
So if you got like a stall or something and it's a certain size, you just got to assume maybe what happens if it goes over a certain size. So you won't need to think in advance of what the problems are and just come up with the solutions before they arise, so we don't really turn into problems. But I think the main one is team working. You can't, not one person can do everything on their own. They need to rely on others. So obviously, like with the artists and stuff, I rely quite a lot on Harpreet. And I think teamwork is quite important, and also just trusting your work that you've done 6 months in advance and just sticking to that. So having what Harpreet said, having that confidence in what you've done and how you've organised it, which is done well. You just need to trust all that confidence on the day. And if something gets challenged, you just got to go back to your plan, because there's a reason why you make planning. So I think planning ahead and having good teamwork, communication skills is quite important, especially with the artists. You need to know who they are. So if you've got an artist from India, obviously some of them might not even speak English. So you just need to make sure you put the right person who's in charge of the artist when they arrive, that they don't feel uncomfortable, and just like kind of have your background information on the artists, who they come with, etc., and just make sure they feel like comfortable and relaxed. And if they're comfortable, relaxed, they perform well. They perform really well, and the crowd love it, and it's a successful event.
So that was really useful. Can you just share with us how you started working in festival and Mela production? Shall I go to you first, Harpreet?
I was quite young, at that time when I started doing events in India. So I used to organize small parties and stuff like that. But I think it was 2013 when I got involved with the Birmingham Mela. And from that time, we started booking big international artists, and the crowds kept, growing, and it was a big success from them.
And how did you get involved, Varun?
So I've been involved from the very first Mela, I think, a little role, just helping and organising, moving barriers and stuff like that. Right. And just work my way up, taking on more responsibility. So I was in charge of like the radio production backstage, and last about 3-4 years, been working hand in hand with Danny with the production side. And last year was the first time I organised the main stage myself from start to finish. So I'm fairly new to that main stage bit, but I've been working there for about 3-4 years, I think, just working my way up, taking on more responsibility.
Well, you did it really well last year. I was there last year producing the Arts Village, and it was a pleasure to work with you. So what, if there are any tips that you had for future Mela makers, what would those be? I know you've got some interesting stories to share, Harpreet, so I'd like to hear some of those. But in terms of tips?
Tips, teamwork, right. Especially teamwork, backing your colleagues, respecting each other. You have to respect each and other's decision. Don't poke nose in others' work. These are main things that you have to have some management skills, right. And these are a few things which are mandatory.
Varun, would you like to add to that?
Yeah, I think if it's not just a Mela, but I think any event organisation, you need to be aware of everything. So you might just have your one role, like you could just working on the main stage, but you need to be aware of what else is going on. So you need to take an interest and generally want to know what's happening, like at the Arts Village, review what's happening at the fun fair, the layout and everything. And I think you've got to be a bit realistic, because I don't think it's taken. I've worked there for about 3-4 years. And you don't just go in there with no experience and take like one of the main responsibility jobs.
Yeah.
Just got that interest. You got to figure out what you like and what part of the events that you like, because in a massive event like the Mela, there's not just like one responsibility. There's quite different departments and different things you can do. And I think just having confidence in your own abilities is quite important. I think that's the main one, confidence, and obviously what Harpreet said, teamwork, because any big event you do, even if it's like how Harpreet said, he started off with small parties, working his way up to Melas, he's having to do teamwork from everywhere, from the start. Yeah. So I think being able to have teamwork and confidence in your own abilities are probably some of the most important tips I can give.
So things often go wrong. What do you do when things go wrong? How do you manage that?
Basically, I am too composed, I don't get upset, I don't get, hyper, or I don't get panic. Few of our team members are, like Danny. He gets nervous very easily. The moment things happen, things go wrong, the first guy who panics is Danny. So
Brilliant.
I just make I'm a very calm person. I don't panic that much,
Yeah.
and I know if something has gone wrong, it's always, there is some plan B ready, and so we j- you just have to be calm and composed. You don't, if I will panic, I know all the teammates will panic, and the event will go wrong from that moment. So it's basically you have to keep calm. I keep calm and composed. I don't panic a lot.
That's really helpful. Varun, I know sometimes, having worked in the industry for a long time, artists can be late. What do you do when
Yeah.
somebody's late and you've got a schedule and a program and you've got, to get the set ready for different bands and musicians? How do you manage that?
I think firstly is like communication before the event. You say artists may be performing at 5 o'clock. You say you need to be there 30, 40 minutes beforehand. And you need to, and if it's a live performance, you need to tell the band they need to be there 10, 15 minutes ready to go on stage, etc. But I think this is what I was saying before, you troubleshoot. So last year I put gaps in the performances just because I know sometimes when an artist goes on stage, I think Harpreet can agree, they don't want to come off.
Yes.
It might go over, it might be 2, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, or it could literally just be 1, 2 minutes. But if everything's so tight, that can have a massive impact on someone at the end, on their times. And I think last year on the Saturday, everything went really well. Everyone was on time. It was quite smooth, and I was a bit, a bit skeptical, like, how's it gone so well? And on Sunday, I think we had a couple of artists who arrived late, and I think you just got to be consistent. So we had an artist who arrived late quite early in the day, and we didn't let him on stage, and then because he missed his slot, and so then we had another artist who turned up late, about 3 hours later, and we said the same thing. Unfortunately, you've missed your slot. If we put you on, then we'll have to cut somebody else's time on.
Yeah.
And those artists were there anyway, ready. So I think I remember when one of those situations happens, Harpreet's just composed and stuff. I look at him, I was like, okay, I need to make sure I'm composed. And he's got to communicate it in the right way. But you've almost got to be like that, ruthless, and stick to your schedule, because if the event finishes at 7 o'clock, like the Mela does, it has to finish at 7 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of reasons behind that, but you organise it from 12 till 7, so you plan the event.
Yeah.
And things do go wrong, so you have to troubleshoot, and you put in gaps in the schedule and stuff. That's why I had a really good DJ last year who was there ready if there was a gap or something, and he was there to just fill in, and you have your hosts and stuff. So I think Harpreet said, having that composure and that belief in your plan and just being consistent throughout. So if the first artist, we let him on, even though he was late, then I'd have to let the second one on. But I think you have to be fair to everyone, and that's just showing respect to each artist and performer.
That's really, really helpful. So the message there is, if you are performing on a stage with other live acts, then turn up on time, because that's
it's more helpful if you're there early, because it has happened in previous years when artists have turned up late and we haven't been able to let them on. It's not something that sometimes it's out of their control, like with traffic and stuff, but we do communicate that across, especially on a Sunday. It's the main day, more people are off work and stuff, and the roads are quite busy.
And that's a busier day for us, isn't it, the Sunday?
Yeah. I think especially around the park as well, it's quite busy.
Yeah. Do you want to add to that at all, Harpreet, and then maybe share one or two of your stories with us?
I'll share something with you. Last year what happened was, one of the big artists, he was one of the main acts, and he flew specially for the Mela from India a day before. He came to the city. He came to Birmingham. He was he came quite early in the morning, and he was resting in the room. And we were like, it's time, you should start moving to the Mela ground now. Come to the ground. And he was like, yeah, I'm ready. Yeah. The time he reached, he was 2-3 hours late. So everyone was like, no, you can't go on the stage now. So he was like, he requested a lot. He felt bad because it was his fault. And he felt bad. He just wanted to go on the stage for just 5 minutes. And half of the team was like, oh, okay, let him go for the 5 minutes. He He has flown especially from India, and he's a big name. People are waiting for him, and few of them were not ready to let him on the stage. So everyone came to me. There's a now situation. What should we do? What should we do? So I just said one thing. It's Varun who is handling the stage, and it's his decision. If he says yes, then it's yes. Otherwise, we won't let him on the stage. And we asked Varun, he said no. So we straight away said no to him, and he went back.
Yeah, but the problem was we did try and work out how he would go on stage. But if you've got a big international artist, I think Harpreet see it. I think when someone goes on stage and they see 20, 30,000 people in front of them, they don't want to come off. And then the hard thing is getting these. If you got, we had our main artist who was coming on that we booked, I think about 4 or 5 months in advance. We promoted the whole Mela around them, and we thought if we let artists who come on late, it would disrupt their time, and I think that would be unfair to that artist later to say, oh, we're sorry, we cut your time by 20, 30 minutes because someone else came on late. And I think what happened last year was there's 2 artists as well. So it would have been unfair to the previous artist who came late early on in the day and we let someone else on. So I think that's where you just got to be consistent and fair to everyone.
Right.
There are some artists that come an hour, 2 hours early and they're just enjoying the Mela. They go for a walk around, they're taking the atmosphere, they come on, perform. And so I think it happens at every event. I think it could just be like a small concert inside. People might come on late. People might go over their performances by 5-10 minutes. I think it's just the part of the industry we're in. Especially, I think, as you know, you've been in the industry, and Harpreet knows that. I think timing is probably the most hardest thing to keep control of and to be on point with, because I think with a Mela, like timing is the one thing that can really ruin like the main stage or something if it's not kept in control.
Absolutely, that's really, really important. The other question I wanted to ask you was, how do you manage the different personalities of the artists? Having we've all worked with them, they have needs. Harpreet, I'll come to you on this one. So, how do you, if an artist
Basically,
something,
I when we book an artist, from that day I start building a relation with them, because
yes.
Relationship is key to a good event. If you don't have a understanding, if you don't have a consent with the artist, then it's very difficult to work with them. These artists are very moody. They will hit the panic button at any time. You won't believe. It's very difficult to work with anyone. So you have to have a good relation with them. You have to make sure that they feel very comfortable. They are well pampered and stuff like that. So my priority is to make them comfortable, to make them relax, chill, and that's what I mainly do.
That's really important. Yes, thank you for that. Are there any other final comments that either of you want to make that you think might be useful in helping future Mela makers? I mean, I know that volunteering probably is one of the ways to get in. We have a lot of volunteers every year, don't we, support us in making the event a success. Are there any other ways that young people could get into working with a Mela or a festival that you know of? What would you advise?
I think you maybe best take advantage of any opportunity you can get. If it is volunteering, go. If people are at universities, I know quite a few universities, through their societies, organise events. So it might just be a small event for about 300-400 people, students. But what you learn in that event for 300-400 students is what me, Harpreet, and you take into the big Mela. The fundamental skills you learn is the same. Obviously, the more you go up, there's more like risks and stuff that you need to be more aware of, and more other things that you need to be aware of. But I think the fundamental skills that you learn basically from the very small event or by watching or looking at others. So I've been at the Mela backstage working for the past like 4 years. So everything I did last year was based on what I learned from the previous 3 years. So like watching how like Harpreet interacts with the artist, or how previous people who ran the stage really well with their time management skills. I've learnt and taken what they've done really well and what they do well, and I've learnt and tried to basically copy it in my way. Because if you've seen it work 2 years ago, there's no reason why it can't work again the year after. So I think that's probably taking advantage of any opportunities and trying to soak in as much information you can. I think that's probably the main skills to give. And if there are volunteering opportunities like what we have with the Mela, but there's also other events, festivals and stuff that are around the UK and across the world. I think to just take advantage of these opportunities and just be prepared to work hard when you start on. I think that's the main one. It's quite long hours, especially when you get close to the event.
Yes, it is.
You're waking up around about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and you're there in the park till 10 o'clock, and you go again next day. So we're prepared to lose a bit of sleep for 1 week or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But it is worth it when you see on Sunday afternoon when the main artist we had last year was on around about from about 5 o'clock, and you just see about the thousands of people just smiling and having a good time. It makes it feel worth it.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly not a glamorous affair, is it, for us?
Especially if it's raining.
Especially if it's raining. Guys, thank you so much. That was a really interesting and informative interview with lots of advice and insight for future Mela makers and producers. Lovely to speak to you both. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a nice day and see you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
See you at next year's Mela.
Next year's Mela, and thank you for everyone to watching. More volunteering opportunities, just keep an eye on the Birmingham Mela social media pages and also www.birminghammela.com, and we'll see you at the next year's event. Yes,
2021. Yes. Thanks, guys.
And one thing more, next year will be 10th anniversary of the Mela. It will be grand.
Yes, it'll be a big time, won't it?
Keep an eye on it.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Bye.